The Skills Bootcamps then are funded by the Department of Education and have been introduced to address the skills gap, to boost the region and the UK economy. And obviously in the Solent region, we have got a huge visitor economy. You know, we've got lots of creatives in the economy, plus we've got all of the maritime, etc., etc. The Skills Bootcamps are delivered at a level 3 to 5. Some have qualifications, some don't. It really does depend on the requirements from business, etc. It's because it's business employer driven. They have been developed by employers. The training is delivered up to 16 weeks, and it could be in various formats. It could be once a week, it could be twice a week, it could be block sessions, etc. But we are driven by what the employer is asking for. They need to be, they need to deliver 60 learning hours as a minimum. And if it's a digital skills bootcamps, they need to be 100 guided learning hours. There is 60 guided learning hours as a minimum. The ideal would be a little bit more, but 60 is quite sufficient, or is quite acceptable. The training providers will deliver the skills bootcamps, and they will be either face-to-face, hybrid, whatever works for the training provider. As I said earlier on, you do need to be 19 plus, and you could be full-time, part-time employed, self-employed, unemployed, or returning to work after a break. Learners who are applying individually can access the skills bootcamps, and it would be fully funded. So there is no cost to a person to join a bootcamp if they are unemployed or if they're self-employed. If they are in full-time employment or part-time employment, there would be a contribution that's required from the employer. And if the business is small business, so below 249 employees, it would be 10% of the cost of the boot camp. So for instance, if it's £3,300 to deliver a particular boot camp per person, it would be that £300 from an employer contribution. If it's a large employer over 249, it's 30% that they need to pay. They are a really, really good tool for employers. It does mean that if you are looking for particular employees and you're struggling to recruit, we have a number of people that are finishing boot camps that are looking for employment. Part of the Skills Bootcamp is those that have finished the boot camps are given an interview. So if you are struggling to recruit, I'll give you a list, or I'll tell you the boot camps that we're currently running and what we've got coming up. You can contact the training providers and they will allow you the opportunity to interview at no cost. So you, instead of your recruitment costs, it could be completely free for you. We have got a number of programs already running. You did mention the digital marketing, which I have to say the interest has been huge from your particular area, which is fantastic. And I know there'll be opportunities to run different waves. So when this one's finished, there'll be a next. But we are currently running A1 leadership, business skills for creatives, care services, catering and hospitality, digital marketing, screen industries, maritime transport and logistics, software development, marine electrician, and we've got coming soon early years and the space sector. I'm also in talks with the gaming industry, the NHS, and also a possible cadetship for those going on board ships. So there's and next year, 25-26, there's a huge library of different boot camps that we're looking at. So all I wanted to say today is that if you're struggling to recruit, please do get in touch with me, because I can put you in touch with training providers that are delivering the boot camps already. if you are an employer that actually you've got a number of staff that you would like to upskill, and it fits in with one of the boot camps, you can obviously enter your employee into that boot camp. There would be that small charge. If there's a collective group of you that are all looking for a similar thing, say for instance, I don't know, there's lots of hospitality there and you're all struggling to get people to come and work in the kitchen, let's say a KP, we can group together, have a conversation, and we could actually design a boot camp that would fit what you're looking for. We've just done that for marine electrician. A number of maritime businesses have come together and writing that. And I've just done, or just doing, a similar thing with the games industry, where there's a particular shortage in those business skills, and we're putting together a particular boot camp. So it is employer-led. So it is about you, the employer, filling those skills gaps. So if there is a particular need, by all means, do give me a shout, because we can have a conversation and I'll be able to point you in the right direction of how you can get some support, and how we might be able to move forward with helping you with the recruitment side, or actually running a boot camp specifically for you guys. Any questions? It's kind of it in a nutshell, but I will get the slides out to you, because then you can have a proper read of them. Anybody want any questions?
Thanks, Nicky. Do you want to close sharing, and then we can see everyone?
Yeah, there you go.
So
yeah,
what size group do you need to pull together to run a boot camp?
So we would need about 15 people. But obviously, when it comes to boot camps, if we had a good number of people and actually you said we need to run a boot camp in this, we would be advertising that as well. So we'd be bringing people on. What we can't do is obviously run a boot camp for one person. Obviously, we can't. But yeah, so to actually run one, it needs to be about 15 people.
Yeah.
But your example about the catering industry was quite interesting, because it did remind me of somewhere that I went a couple of weekends ago, and they said that they're constantly struggling to get good chefs, people in the kitchen, and that's they've gone through quite a few, and we actually had a meal there and it was awful. So something like that, getting the word out to them, that could be quite useful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm having conversations actually with the Coastal Family Kitchen as well in Portsmouth, that have got about 5 different venues, and they are just looking at taking on Skills Bootcamp people for the hospitality industry. So what areas are you, how far afield are these businesses that you're hearing? I'm just wondering about
particular ones are quite local. They are sort of Lymington to Highcliffe area.
Yeah, it's I think probably if there are businesses, do you know the businesses? Forgive me, I'm not.
I don't, only from going there for that experience, and obviously they actually asked what we thought.
Yeah.
And then we got into the conversation about it.
Yeah. It would be worth trying to have get together and have a conversation, I think, probably. Sandra, what's your details? Can you?
I can ping it over to you.
Yeah, we can do that, and then what we can do is have a conversation outside of what's happening here, and then we can perhaps something up and try and get
in touch, wasn't?
Yeah, that would be really, really useful.
Yeah,
certainly something we can pick up. It would be best done with Go New Forest, who are the group who represent hospitality businesses.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I can put you in touch with them for that. But no, obviously the healthcare sector and care sector is big here, and that's Chris's area. And there must be areas, Chris, that it would just be helpful so you don't have to go out and search for training.
Well, this is exactly it. I think it's very worthwhile, Nicky and I having a conversation also with Jane, my wife, who's the clinical lead here as well. There is certainly a skills shortage, and spoke to Helen at Brockenhurst College yesterday as well about setting up a meeting and actually getting in front of the students while they're still students, saying that they think of the healthcare sector in more detail. So
I'm just trying to think who we use for the healthcare. It is sorry, just bear with me. So it's actually the Isle of Wight College and Fairport Training are actually delivering the boot camps. They can, by all means, again, we can, you know, if I've got some details I can send out to you, that would be great.
Yeah.
And if it's staff you're looking for or looking to put people on, then they will obviously have a pool of people that will be finishing their skills boot camps. And incidentally, the boot camps is not just a one-off. They run them and they finish and then they start recruiting. So there's different waves. I think we're on wave 5 at the moment and they're about to embark on wave 6. So it is a continual thing, obviously, all the time that the Department of Education are able to fund. And if there are no changes coming our way from government.
Sure, there are a lot of healthcare, you know, that aren't NHS, a lot of businesses, clinics, whether it's podiatry, physiotherapy, chiropractic, all in the same position, all in the same boat. So there's certainly be good to get some conversations going. Be very beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. Matthew, I don't know how you want to do. Do we want to? Are you able to give me able to give me email addresses, and I can always email out to you, and then we can just pick up.
I'll send everyone your address, and then those who want to follow up with you can.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Because more than happy to come out and have a chat about your needs and what's missing, etc.
But what I would like to encourage or see is certainly some degree of collaboration and coordination, because what we begin to hear from businesses, and we run 100 events a year ourselves, is that there are just so many things coming at them, which one is right and where and so on. And as a result, you're going to find people choosing what's nearest, what's cheapest, not necessarily what's best and most appropriate. But particularly the point about being near is no one from the New Forest is going, as beautiful as the Isle of Wight might be, or they're not going to go to Havant to do a course from here. That's about a 3-day journey. So with the M27, so you know it's really important that we've had the digital one here already. And you know, that began face to face at Balmoor Hotel, which was really good. And now continuing sort of not in person, but so anything that, if we can get a viable number together, whatever the topic is, then you know, we can provide any number of venues here.
And that's the thing. I think it's about initiating those conversations and saying, there's a need. Then what we could then do is speak to the training providers or the delivery teams, and then they can do as they did with the digital marketing one and say, actually, we'll have it in this location. That's where we're going to deliver. So it's all about the need and the numbers, unfortunately numbers, but you know.
But that was what was so good about the people who are delivering the one here, is that they came to us and said, can you help us promote it? We're not interested in delivering it ourselves, we're just voluntarily run. 100 events is enough, thank you. But we were able to put it out to people, and as a result got a good response. Likewise, if we did something like at Sasha's place, such as on the boundary between the New Forest and Southampton, that opens it up to a wider geography as well.
Absolutely.
We have venues that are well placed to handle these kind of events.
Absolutely. And I think if we can start those conversations, and we can then have a look at, I say the need, we know there's a need, but the quantities of people, then we can actually get the ball rolling, I think would be a good starting.
The marine one is a good one, and that I know that's focused around Berthon in Lymington. So that was good. Good to see. But something for the care sector, of which you know, that's a big one around here. What the skills are that are needed for that sector, apart from being caring, but you know, there must be a demand there. And
is there also something that this is coming kind of from a personal point of view? I think customer service these days is really it's just gone through the floor. I started off my career working at Boots Chemist, and Chewton Glen Hotel before that, and it was all in the customer service relation. It was like the level was up there, but nowadays,
Yeah.
I went into the local garage, needed something done on the car, walked in the door. Before I'd even said anything, the lady behind the desk said, "Can't do anything for another 3 weeks." I'm like, hello. And then so I just thought, well, I'm not coming back here again because you're so rude. So
Yeah.
I went somewhere else, and they'll have my business going forward. And they could have been a perfectly good business, but their front of house had such poor communication skills. So I think that's a massive thing if that's something that you offer businesses.
It could be, as I say, it is business driven, employer led. So, if there is a need, they do need to align, I say loosely, but they need to align with the apprenticeship frameworks that are out there. We don't have to do everything in that apprenticeship framework. It could be actually one of the subjects, but we add loads of other things to it. Just needs to align slightly with one of them. But if we could do that with that customer service side, then potentially it's doable. Yeah.
Certainly what we were hearing yesterday, Rob, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That I mean, even with Sandra's example, it's actually more basic than that. Some of them can't write or add up. And so it's that sort of stage between basic numeracy and literacy and putting them into practice in a useful way. Without using a phone, for example, or what, knowing what the right tool is, how to use it, and so on. So
I think technology is such a massive thing nowadays, isn't it? And you hear, I don't know if you hear, I go places and I hear tutors saying, well, they don't need to write, do they? Now they've got computers, and that isn't the case. I don't feel that's the right attitude to have. What happens if you have what happens if you have a power outage?
What happens if a customer walks in and wants to know if they can have a slot to get their car serviced, for goodness sake? The conversation came up yesterday in the context of the increasing use of T-level qualifications in the colleges, and the fact that T-level includes an outplacement into employers at the heart of the course. Yeah. And the comment that came back was, a lot of youngsters at that age actually don't necessarily have the communication skills, or sometimes even the attitude. Someone in the meeting was talking about one youngster they employed whose attitude was to ask, what can they help with next? But they were saying that's very much the exception rather than the norm. So it was that kind of level of attitudinal and functional skills, which included things like being able to pick up the phone. You talked about writing just now, but equally, a lot of youngsters are not comfortable picking up the phone and having a conversation rather than just communicating by SMS. While I've got the mic for a moment, if I may, I was just going to hit back on behalf of the garage sector, because actually my own garage here, to whom I took my car for MOT 2 days ago, the owner there was singing the praises of the boot camp because he had actually put himself on the digital marketing boot camp in order to promote his business. So Sandra, I'm not quite sure where you live, but if you want a garage up at my end of the forest, I can definitely give you a good recommendation.
I'm in Rainwood.
This is Cadnam.
I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunity, and I think it's just about getting the message out there and us having conversations, really. I'm more than happy to come out and have a conversation with anybody, come to any meetings or whatever. We were talking about hospitality, Go New Forest, happy to touch base with them, go out and have a conversation with some businesses to see if there are any common things that they are missing from a skills point of view. I think we must remember is that it is for those 19 plus. So it would be those that are kind of leaving college rather than the school age and going into those like T levels, etc. Because there are those T levels and apprenticeships, etc. for those younger ones. It is for the 19 plus. So we just need to remember that. But they could, is there for them.
It may be that our workshop series will highlight what some of the gaps are, and then we can follow that up as each one happens. The first one is a generic one on skills and HR, why skills are important and all that, and you're coming to that. So that will be important. But then as we go through, whatever the topic is, we've got one on AI and one on finance and one on Google Ads and so on and so on. It I may get, say, when Sandra delivers hers, she may actually email me afterwards and say, I couldn't believe that about half the group didn't know anything about, and then that could be a useful topic.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's those levels of conversation that obviously then allows us to develop skills boot camps. And again, so long as we've got the numbers there, we're open to suggestions from business about what it is they're looking for.
Yeah, great.